everyone, welcome to this week's podcast. A good win against Bologna, obviously, Shady. We've got the 3 points securing us at the top of the table. We've got a big clash with the bottom dwellers, Crotone, coming up. But first of all, how's it going, Shady?
All good, all good. I was worrying you'd forgotten to introduce me there. How's it going?
Yeah, sorry, I was too excited about the win.
You're all pumped up after the win on the weekend, and that's good. We want to see it. We want to get all pumped up, and it's a good feeling being top of the table. So yeah, don't blame me, man. Can't blame me.
I know, and we've kind of taken up residence at the top of the table, and we're refusing to go anywhere else. So yeah, we're pretty comfortable up top, I think. So happy days, I guess.
Let's hope so. Yeah, we're in February now, and it's going to be an interesting month ahead. I don't know about you, but I think come the end of the month, we'll have 4 games under the belt. We'll have the Red Star game as well, one of them at least, and I think we'll get a much better picture, having played Inter as well, one of our direct rivals.
Yeah,
be Inter and Roma, so 2 tough games at the end of the month. I think come the end of the month, we'll have a better idea of where we stand. But yeah, I'm happy with how things are going. So yeah, long may they continue.
I guess we'll start off with the Bologna match, kind of going through it a little bit. I would say from watching it, it was probably one of those games that as a supporter and watching on it became probably a little bit more, probably a bit I was a bit nervous to watch it in the end, thinking that something could happen. But I guess 2-1, we came away with the win. Do you agree that maybe we let them come back into it a little bit too much?
Exactly. Yeah, I agree. We didn't really kill it off when we could have possibly. Yes, I agree. So good to have Gigi and go. I mean, again, my personal opinion, top 3 in the world, if not personally for me, probably the best in the world. But I'm obviously going to be biased. An amazing keeper. Not sure about Ibra ever stepping up for a penalty. His head's obviously not in it. I mean, and repeatedly, it's not the first time this season. So yeah, maybe we should, just keep it with the president, Kessie.
I completely agree, and on both points, I guess. I think that was kind of the last nail in the coffin with Zlatan taking penalties, unfortunately. I think, and I think he should know it by now that we just let Kessie take the penalties because, I mean, it's been a while since I've seen him miss one. So, I think we should just let him do that. And with Gigio, I mean, to me, he's absolutely the best in the world. Like, really. Yeah. The amount of games that he has saved us, we're seriously, like, I'm pretty proud that we have him around. We might go into his contract situation a little bit later on. But I guess the other big kind of talking point from the Bologna match was the Tomori full game debut.
Yeah, really good. Seemed good. Yeah, very promising. And with Kier still struggling and Gabbia as well, it's so good to have him on board.
Yeah.
And I think he can learn from being at a club of our stature, playing week in, week out. I mean, it's just a shame with COVID and everything that we don't have fans as well, because the atmosphere he would have been exposed to is definitely definitely a lot more intense than what he would have probably experienced at Chelsea. So yeah, but overall, no, so far so good. Too early, obviously, to make anything to say anything conclusive. But yeah, I like what I see so far. What about you?
Yeah, I agree completely. And even still, even though there's no fans in the ground, I mean, some of those videos of seeing what the Curva Sud are doing while the bus is coming into stadiums with all the flares and the motorbikes. I mean, you don't see that in England, I don't think. It's its own thing. I think we say it all the time. I think Milan fans they're pretty distinct compared to a lot of the fans around the world. So he'd still be getting a taste of it. So I mean, hopefully it's another situation where another club is kind of biting themselves a little bit for letting go a super talented player. But
and again, like with Bakayoko as well, like Chelsea did. But it's just that some players don't click with certain clubs. Having said that, I think first of all, I mean, no debate really that Milan Tifosi are a different beast. There's no comparing them to anyone else. But mind you, I was thinking about, you were talking about, fans like the Curva just going with the team to the stadium. Up in the north in England, you get a bit of that with United and Liverpool to an extent, but still, I would say it doesn't compare to us. But yeah, definitely not with Chelsea. No offense to Chelsea at all, but I mean, the way their fans support or express their support is different from us, definitely from us Milanisti. Absolutely. Let me ask you about something. One of the elephants in the room, really. After a win where we scored as a result, directly or indirectly, of 2 penalties. A lot of talk about Milan getting a lot of penalties, and I would say, I mean, obviously our response has been we've been creating a lot more chances, and there is VAR, whereas in years past a lot of these would have been waved away. What's your take on that?
Yeah, I don't really buy into the whole that talk, to be honest. I think those 2 penalties that were there that we got in that game, they were pretty clearly there, I think, in my opinion. Definitely the second one. So I think it's a bit of you always hear it every season, other clubs complaining about the top club getting too many penalties. I think people have said that about Juve for the last however many years. I mean, Juve's a bit of a different story, but
are you sure you want to? I was just going to say, honestly, I was just going to say, are you sure you want to go down that road?
Yeah. Juve's a bit of a different story, but
that's good. Yeah, I mean, as Milan fans, we've had so many penalties that went against us.
Yeah.
In Juventus' favor, that were just like, whoa, where'd they come up with that?
Yeah.
And the other way around as well, where they've handballed the ball. Alexandra will tell you, and Çalhanoğlu will tell you. And it just hasn't gone our way. But I get your point. What you're trying to say. But perhaps pick a different example.
It was probably slightly the wrong example. But yeah, I think it is something that I mean, in England you always hear it about whoever's on top of the table, that they're getting too many penalties. I mean, Manchester United at the moment, even though they're not top of the table, they're second. But
yeah, I get your point. Yeah.
But it's just one of those things. If you create chances and you're creative enough in the box, it's going to happen. Yeah. And we've been pretty deadly. So
exactly, yeah, I think so too.
Yeah, so I mean, pick on other things about us and I mean, just try and keep up with us first of all. Don't complain about the penalties. Is my response to that probably?
I'd agree with you. I'd agree with you. I think our build-up play has been really good this season. We're getting into positions where we're really dangerous on the ball. We're in the area, and it leads to that. But yeah, I would agree with you 100%.
Absolutely. I guess the last thing I wanted to say was I always find it very interesting listening or reading Pioli's comments, what he says before and after games. And he said after this one, to win the championship, sometimes you have to struggle, but it's nice to win like this. So I guess he's suggesting that it wasn't really a struggle. So, yeah, what do you take from that? I mean, clearly in Pioli's mind, it's we're going for the Scudetto, and that's the thing that's driving the team.
That's good. It's good to hear that, because most of the official talk has been we're not even mentioning the word Scudetto. Let's see how we are at the end of the season. Let's win our games. The objective is the Champions League. So I think at this stage we should obviously just whisper. It's way too early to say anything. It's the first game. I mean, we're talking about the first game of the second round, so it's nothing. Nothing's been won yet, and it's still a very tight gap. But it's good just to have that, that incentive, that motivation to keep going. I think a lot of what's happening now, including the penalty talk as well, is part of the mind games going around.
Yeah.
So I think it's good for Pioli to reassure his players, even if it was kind of an anxious end or a nervous end to the game. It was a bit nerve-wracking towards the end. It's good to give them that confidence and to build that confidence. I think it shows. I'm really happy. Let's just put it this way: from Ivan Gazidis all the way from Paolo Scaroni, from the Elliott group all the way down to Pioli and this stuff. I love what I'm a really big fan of this season is how everything's being conducted by the management. In general, they're all singing from the same page. Whereas last season, obviously, and the season before, we've had some with the Boban saga at first, and there were so many things that were they're obviously everyone had their own opinion, and they were airing it, and it was just very Milan like. It was not Milan at all. This is what we're about, being this cohesive family unit, and I really like that. So it's a good thing, that stability as well. It seems to be the management's looking at what Pioli and Maldini really need for the football team, and they're like, okay, you're missing a defender right now, here you go. It's not ideal. When we talked about this, we talked about it being relatively short term, and they are loan deals and stuff like that. I agree, but it shows that there is a level of coordination between everyone, and I love it. And I think the results on the pitch are no coincidence. Yeah. They're a product of all of that.
And even, last season, Gazidis was copping a lot of hate from fans, and he's probably not the most loved person at the club. But I think I agree with Alessandro Jacopone with what he said to us last week in saying that even he has shown kind of a change in mentality. You think back to the whole Zlatan scandal with him when Zlatan had a go at him, and it was all public, and it was that big thing. I think it just seems like there's a bit of, class to the club now. As you said, it's cohesive. Feels like everyone's working together. Even Gazidis, who's still, not overly loved, as I said, it kind of feels like we're all playing on the same side for once.
Exactly, we're all headed in the same direction, and that's what I felt was missing the past few years. So I hope it continues. And like I said, on the pitch, on the sporting side of things, it's looking really good. So yeah, can't complain there. It's great.
Well, I guess moving on to game week 21, we face Crotone, who obviously bottom placed, to put it simply. Not having the best season. Obviously, they came up from the Serie B last year. What do you think? What do you think of this match coming up?
Not to be taken lightly. Hopefully, we don't underestimate them. But I hope that all things being equal, I think we should be able to win comfortably if we play our game and obviously not take them, not take them for granted. I think it's a game we should and I want to say we must win. It's one of those must win. It's one of those routine games that you have to win if you're going to be a champion. Yeah. So like you said, top versus bottom. They're not having a good season by any standard or any measure. And to be honest, I'd rather focus on us. We don't have any excuse not to win this. We play our game with all respect and everything, but we play our game. We should win this.
Absolutely, and I think this patch. Obviously, we've won against Bologna. We've got Crotone this weekend, or this week, Spezia. And then Spezia the week after. Really, that should be a golden opportunity to get 9 points. And we shouldn't be looking at anything less than that. Because, the next two games after that, Inter and is it Roma?
Roma, I think. Yeah, I think it will be. Yeah, Inter are home game, and then Roma. Yeah.
So we need those 9 points going in, and then obviously we want the 2 wins against those 2 clubs, but they're obviously a bit more challenging. This Crotone match is it's got to be kind of that low hanging fruit for us that we just have to plow through. They're missing probably their best player in. Hopefully, I say it right, Messias, as well. So, there's no excuses.
No excuses, yeah. Focus on our game. Give them their respect, obviously, and don't take it too lightly. But yeah, just do your thing, and I think we should be able to win it. and win it hopefully comfortably. What are you thinking in terms of predictions? And is there anyone that you think will stand out?
Yeah, I kind of want to see Zlatan get on the score sheet. And kind of put all these. I mean, he obviously two games ago, the whole Lukaku incident. Even though he'd had a good game up until then, it kind of put that aside, I guess. And then obviously in the Bologna match, the penalty. I mean, I'd just like to see him get back into the swing of things and put all that aside and move on. So yeah, I'll say if I have to say a prediction, I'll say 2-0. Hopefully one or two of them come from Zlatan.
Let's hope so. Yeah, I think I want to see Zlatan score, obviously. And I think I want to see Mandzukic get on the score sheet.
Yeah.
Yeah, second half sub or something. I'm going to be a bit more optimistic and say, hopefully, we like I said, we play our game. I'm going to go for a 4-0 win.
Yeah.
Yeah, optimistic. And for me, I think I'm targeting like a clean sheet. My first clean sheet prediction in a while, so we'll see.
Yeah.
It comes through. But yeah, I'm feeling confident. I mean, yeah, I'm feeling confident ahead of the game.
I think what you say with the clean sheet thing, I mean, their last game against Genoa, they didn't have a single shot on target. Not one shot on target. So, I mean, come on, like really, it should be.
You never know.
I know, but
yeah. In Syria, there are no guarantees. But on paper, I agree with you 100%.
Yeah,
there are no guarantees on the day as well if you're having an off day. But I mean, we've had a few of those in January, so let's hopefully turn that page and get on with it. Speaking of off days, I was reading reports, and I'm not sure, so don't quote me on this, but I read reports in a few translating stuff from the Gazzetta and Tutto Sport in a few places, talking about possibly opening an investigation into the Lukaku incident again. I thought that was already decided, and we already had like the 1 game ban for both of them. But they're talking about potentially like longer bans or fines and what's going on there? It doesn't seem right to me. I don't know. What do you think?
It's strange. It's very. I mean, it's kind of what, unfortunately, there's been a bit of culture in Italy, would you say, over the last few years, decades maybe, that this kind of stuff happens that never makes sense. It's never explained. For some reason, it comes out. There's probably some pressure from somewhere pushing it. Some people might have their predictions where that pressure comes from, but it's strange, I think. I mean,
I think so.
What was said between them isn't it? It's not good.
Yeah, 100%. And we said that. We said it was awful. It was stupid. And they got a ban for it already. So what are we looking into really?
And it kind of I feel just brings the game into almost disrepute. Like you want to deal with these things as they come and then move on from them. You don't want to drag it through the whole season and have this just up in the air. It's just not good for the game. Like, just deal with it. If it is bad, I think it's bad. But if the league and the Italian football society or whatever it is decide that it is really bad, like, slap them pretty hard with bans or fines or whatever, but do it quickly after. Don't bring up this big investigation and have it drawn out for way longer than it should.
And do it consistently with all the clubs. I mean, we see these incidents like every season with all teams. Why is it now that, us and Inter were top and all of us, I mean, it's not consistent. If you're consistent, if you go in like hard and you, like you said, lengthy bans, big fines for everyone, I'd understand that. But all of a sudden, I don't know. I mean, look, it's not. I mean, we haven't seen the results of it yet, so we'll see. At this stage, like, talk of an investigation, or like we don't have anything conclusive at this stage. But I mean, it's just doesn't sound right.
I'm not really sure what they're investigating, to be honest. Like, we knew what was said.
Like what racing?
After the game,
we saw everything that. Yeah, exactly. I mean, and people went through like the video and audio a few times. So there wasn't. It was offensive, obviously, because there was insults. both ways, but it wasn't like anything like outright racist or whatever. I don't know, from what everybody's seen in the transcript so far. So I just don't get the point of it all.
Yeah,
we'll see.
I have to agree. Yeah, I mean, we'll see what comes.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. You wanted to talk to me about the Donnarumma contract. What's going on there?
Yeah, so I guess latest news out of Milan is that Raiola's wanting 10 million euro for the contract. I think the club's more, they're sticking to their guns at 7 plus bonuses. So, and I mean, linking into what Alessandro Jacopone said again, these things, the media usually kind of make the divide a little bit bigger than what it seems. That Raiola's a genius and he's usually in control, and he won't he'll pull every cent out of the club that he can, but he knows when to stop, and he's realistic. And then he's a good manager, and I don't think anyone thinks or believes that Donnarumma wants to leave the club. I think he loves the club, and I'm sure he'd be saying that to Raiola. But Raiola's got a job to get as much money out of the club as he can. So that's what he's doing. And as going back to him again, Alessandro said that there's always a number in between 7 and 10, and they'll have to meet somewhere in between if they want a deal, I guess.
Yeah. And I'm not, I mean, were you surprised that Raiola was asking for about 10 million? I'm not surprised. No. And especially with the form Gigio's been in, I mean, he's been on fire. He's had some amazing games. We've been very lucky. We're really lucky that his really good streak coincided with like our injuries, our defensive injuries. Because if it was like he was going through a bad patch and defense was in poor shape as well, then we would have been screwed. But so it's a perfect time for Raiola to milk it. I think hopefully, fingers crossed. I'm cautiously optimistic. You never know, obviously, football, but I'm cautiously optimistic. Yeah, like you said, Donnarumma's said it and he's shown it on the pitch, and he's said it so many times that he wants to remain with the club. And you get the feeling that he acts like a leader in many ways. He's 21, but it feels like he's got a wise old head on his shoulders. So I think he'll stay, and I think they'll find some common ground. I think maybe the club will just lift maybe do something with the bonuses, and then just lift like the base to like 8 million. I have no clue what they're going to do exactly, but I am cautiously optimistic that they'll find some middle ground.
Absolutely. I guess the other piece of news coming out was that Simakan signed for our good friend Ralf Rangnick's team over in Germany. Do you reckon there's any bad blood in them signing him?
Just a bit. They signed him out of spite.
Yeah.
Like it's signed for this. I'm doing it out of spite. Yeah.
Yeah.
Perhaps. You never know. I don't think that can be the only reason, but I can imagine that if they're like, if it was like he already met like 90% of their criteria anyway, they're like, okay, it's just
Yeah, and I guess we signed Tomori or loaned Tomori, so I think the club would have known and planned for the alternative anyway. So
exactly. And Simakan was out injured anyway for like was it just over a month or something anyway?
Yeah.
So we wouldn't have been able to throw him straight into action like Tomori.
Absolutely. Well, I guess the only other thing is that we haven't mentioned is that the what was it that we've broken was it 28-year record of away goals?
I think it's I think it goes all the way back. You were talking about 92, 93, right?
Yeah,
we've done really well this season with all these records. Scoring away from home, something like that.
Hey,
really good.
What can you tell us about the 92-93 jersey, Shady?
Was that the Adidas one? I think with Motta as the sponsor. Off the top of my head,
I've got to say those Motta jerseys are they are class.
Yeah,
I really like
good.
Yeah. And what was that team like actually? What did they get up to?
Well, that was wasn't the 92-93 one the one that weren't they the Invincibles? I think. Yeah.
Yeah. if they broke the record, I assume
that were invincible. Yeah, so we went on, what was it, 58 games or 59 games unbeaten, and then we lost. Eventually, that streak came to an end when do you remember Asprilla, who used to play for Faustino Asprilla, the Colombian, who played for Newcastle later on? He played for Parma at the time. He scored the goal. Parma beat us at San Siro 1-0 and ended that spell. That was a great team. We still had Van Basten, I mean, towards the end of his Milan days. We had a great team. We signed Papin from Marseille towards the 93 season. Well, we had obviously the defensive core, Baresi and Maldini. We had an amazing team at the time. Costa Curta, obviously. I think even, was Panucci still with us? Christian Panucci, a right back at the time? I think maybe. He was like a youngster on our right back. Yeah, right back. It was a really good team. Obviously, Sebarossi and goal. It was a really good team. It was a good team.
Yeah. Wow.
Your boy, our good friend, of Milan Club Melbourne, Daniele Massaro was there. Yeah, it was a really good squad.
Well, it's pretty incredible that the current team, I mean, that who knows whether these players in the current team will be remembered like those players, hopefully. Yeah. But it's pretty incredible that they're drawing kind of some comparisons to those teams of the past.
We won the Scudetto 3 years in a row for 92, 93, 94. So if we can just win 2 in a row, I mean, we haven't actually won back-to-back Scudetti since. So we won 92, 93, 94, and then we won it in 96 with Capello again. And then 99, the Zaccaroni one. Yeah, we haven't won since that 3-year Scudetti. So we haven't won back-to-back Scudetti since.
Wow.
So 99, then 2004. So it'd be good if we can. Well, let's win this one first.
What were we saying before that we shouldn't get too far ahead of ourselves?
We shouldn't get too carried away. And here I am dreaming about dynasties of back-to-back league wins. Anyways, let's win against Crotone first. Let's beat Crotone, and then we can talk about
It's a fair jump. It's a fair jump, isn't it? Going a three-peat to just trying to beat Crotone.
Exactly. Just a bit of it.
Well, anyway, I guess we'll call it there. If you haven't yet, make sure you like, subscribe, and do all the other stuff to our channels. We're on Spotify and Apple Podcast, I believe now. If you want to listen to it in the car or wherever you listen to your podcasts, check that out. We're obviously on YouTube still. Did I mention everything, Shady? I hope so.
Yeah, I think we covered it all. Yeah, Spotify's been great. I was re-listening to the interview with Taylor, I think, the other week at the gym. I was on. Yeah, it was good. So it was good. It was good to have it on Spotify. It's really handy if you can't if you can't access it on YouTube or any of the other socials. But yeah, please do give us a like, subscribe, and the sorts, all that jazz.
All that. Well, I guess that kind of takes to an end. So, as always, Forza Milan, and see you next time.
See you next week, Forza Milan.
See ya. And I'll have to cut it.
It's a lot.